It's Friday, another opportunity to make your weekend even brighter as we tell you what the news besides the news was throughout the week. Tell me, how have you been? At TV47KE on Twitter, Facebook is TV47 Kenya. You can also call or SMS as well. The numbers are on the bottom right of your screen. Emmanuel Inonda is in the house.
Hey.
Hi, what's up?
The weekend.
Oh, all right, amazing. And Victor Nyata is also in his house.
Cyprian.
Oh, Victor Nyata, but they are brothers. So can we use the names interchangeably? Cyprian Osoro, good to see you.
Yeah, for the second time again, I'm Victor, but ni sawa tu.
You'll have to go with it.
You know, I don't know if you do the Mkisi jokes. If someone who is outside of the Wakisi makes Kisi jokes, do you become a tribalist?
Well, I think, but it's not being tribal, it's appreciating who we are.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us right here on In Other News. Now, one of the most trending topics of the week has been the reported spike in number of teenage pregnancies in the country. Numbers so unbelievably high that Education CS Magoha has cast aspersions on the numbers. How authentic are these numbers, Emmanuel?
First of all, you see, you cannot just pop up with something without evidence. So whoever brought the numbers on the table, he or she must have known or must have done the research, scientific research about the same.
Emmanuel, even before we delve into this conversation any deeper, this is exactly what the CS said.
These figures, because they seem to be definitive figures. Could some NGOs who are keen on pushing sexual education be using these exaggerated numbers? So we are going to interrogate, despite the fact that we know our children are getting pregnant, site accessible in Kenya, who needs it? So don't tell us that because it is accessible in the US, it should be accessible here. There are many countries, both African and Asian, that have blocked it, and their culture is better.
Cyprian, 4,000
Yes.
cases in Machakos. I don't know how many cases in your county. Do you feel these numbers are authentic?
Yeah, sure they are. I mean, and that was expected because later on, there was a clip that went circulating. The governor for Machakos, Governor Mutua Alfred, had earlier on projected in his own maybe methods, I don't know how, that with the current lockdown and people staying at home and everything, he definitely expected the beds at the maternity wing of his hospital, the referral hospital in Machakos, the beds to increase. They had to increase the numbers because they were expecting a lot of pregnancy cases. Now, sadly,
Cyprian, did he expect that this would be children?
I think he was talking to the adults, but now sadly the axe has fallen on kids, innocent kids. And I think it's time now we have to really talk about this issue because everybody now is talking about sex education being introduced in schools, which I think it's high time. I think we are even late into the party. We have to introduce it. These kids have to be taught about these things.
Even before we go to sex education, Cyprian, Emmanuel, how hard is it or how easy is it to miss the number of pregnant girls in this case? The belly is, you cannot hide a pregnancy. If we are counting them,
Maybe.
How easy is it to miss the numbers?
Maybe, I don't know why the CS is actually against those numbers, but you see, if you parade here, let's say 100 girls with bellies, you're able to tell this one is pregnant, this one is not. So the CS, I'm not quite sure why he's against those figures. I don't know why he's defending the children. Ingekuwa kwa Kiswahili tungesema Magoha akana mimba, lakini sasa what do we say about it?
Well, I don't know, maybe a belly count would help. Yes, Cyprian.
I think it's typical of Kenyan men. Lazima turuke mimba, but anyway, that's besides the point. And I think, maybe they use the mothers. Mothers have a special way of detecting mimba. Anakuangalia tu hivi, anakuambia Rebecca. Anaangalia kwa shingo, kuna mishipa wao angalia na mkono. Kwambia Rebecca, you are pregnant. Nilikukataza mambo ya vijana mtoni.
And I think the CS is just being cautious. Earlier on, we had a district commissioner who warned chiefs in his area and told them, guys, if we find pregnant young girls in your community, you will be responsible. And he's the person who is in charge
that's
of...
Yeah,
So
that's, I think, the police commissioner in Rift Valley.
All right. That was the guy, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But maybe Magoha was just protecting himself, being the man who is in charge now of all school-going children. He might be told, all this is on your shoulder, yeah?
Yeah.
So I really fear for the chiefs down there. If what Natembeya said is something to go by, then there might be fathers of many. Fathers of many. Because the population keeps on increasing. Because this is just June. We have over 300,000. Then what happens when we go to September, then December, holidays, people will defy the December holidays, all that stuff. So Magoha, maybe there's something is not telling us, because it's not for someone to report a pregnancy. You cannot lie about the numbers. You see, all these children, they do go to clinic where their data is being taken by the hospital, different hospitals. Then from there, they'll be whoever wants to saw the data will be able to get it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Emmanuel. The biggest question is who is impregnating these children. Yeah, there have been reports that some of these pregnancies, the people responsible are young boys their age as well. Contradicting reports saying the older men. Cyprian, what is happening here? Who is responsible?
I think there are two issues here. One, they were saying we have pedophiles walking around. There's that as a subject on its own, and then we have teenage pregnancies, teens amongst themselves, because right now wako nyumbani, there's no homework. If at all iko washafanya imeisha yote, syllabus wamesoma, wameambiwa wote wana repeat tena next year, so kitu syllabus wamebakisha ni moja. So in their own idle mind, they want to experiment new things, which unfortunately will cost them. Yeah. Unfortunately, kuna watu wataumia for the rest of their lives.
That is a sad truth, Cyprian. Yeah. Magoha called for the banning of adult movie sites. Some teens are learning online and practicing with impressive success. Emmanuel, what do adult movie sites have to do with increased number of teen pregnancies?
That's the exact question I wanted to ask you. The same Magoha is disputing the numbers. Yet he wants to tell us all those numbers, most of them come from the adult sites on the internet. So my question is, first of all, you are disputing the numbers. Then the other side of the mouth, you're saying those numbers, most of them come from the adult sites on the internet. Yet, most of these people look at, let's say here in Nairobi, you cannot compare Nairobi and, is it Kilifi? Where there's over 20,000. I was about to say infection cases, but it's pregnancies. Kakamega, over 16,000. Bungoma, Vihiga. So most of those people, they don't have direct access to the internet where they'll have to, going to adult site, it means you'll have, someone needs to be in a private place, then have a gadget of his or her own. Where are these children getting them? There's none. So you cannot say they're getting they are watching adult sites, then on the other hand, the same children cannot afford to get online learning. So
and if this is anything to go by, Emmanuel, if the CS is telling us that adult movie sites are responsible, then this means e-learning should be possible, because the number of young girls pregnant is just overwhelming. Now, we were talking earlier, and this came up, business opportunities in schools. Cyprian, I foresee after the schools reopen, daycare centers within schools as the young moms try to sit for their exams. Do you think, how do you think this is going to impact the education calendar, even transition rates from primary schools to secondary schools? What is the effect that this is going to have on the education sector?
I think for the people who have been opposing the CBC, the new syllabus and everything, now they have a reason not to oppose it anymore, because among the issues that were being suggested is sex education to these kids. Now it's practical. I think we have somewhere to start from. And as for the daycares, I think it's really sad, by the way. There's no light side of it, by the way, because if somebody as young as 10, 11, 15 years can be pregnant, it's very sad, because out here, how many ladies do we know and they are working, na atakwambia hata kama kuna hii baridi bei ya pampers naona ni kama inapanda, you know, because we are scared. Being a parent is an expensive adventure. So you can imagine how it huku nje. So I can't even try to imagine what these small kids will undergo. It's not a laughing matter. It's so sad.
It is actually a serious matter, Emmanuel.
Mtoto anakuja na sahani yake.
Well, I actually feel the pain for these parents who will be having now added responsibilities, because remember, if this is a child, they cannot be able to take care of a child anyway. But on the lighter side, if statistics are to go by, over 500,000 new Kenyans will be added to our population by March 2021. Maybe this is not such a bad thing after all, Emmanuel.
You know, the Chinese have succeeded where they are, up to where they are right now, because of their population. And Kenya, if the figures are something to go by, which means the first batch of population will come, is it October? In October this year, and then the second batch will come next year in March. We'll have over 500,000 of, and if the quarantine continues, staying at home continues, then let's say by the end of next year, we'll have close to 5 million, because the children will now be copying the idea of other children, begetting children. Then again, if it's March next year and then the schools are resuming, let's say the exams is going to resume in April, like Magoa said yesterday, then and you have social distancing, some of the classes will be empty. I think they can be converted into daycare facilities, because we'll be having so many children at that time.
Well, this just goes to show how much we are not practicing social distance at all, if these numbers are to go by, because if there was social distance anyway, these cases would not would not be present.
Maybe they are using masks.
Okay.
The mask misled them.
All right. And then I really hope we will be able, as Cyprian says, to get sex education in our schools and realize these children are not as young as we might want to think. Now, to other matters, and coronavirus has infiltrated the highest office in the land, with at least 4 state employees turning COVID-19 positive. Clearly, the virus is not a respecter of men. Now, every organization that has had a confirmed COVID-19 case has been cordoned off. Should we expect the building on the hill to be out of bounds, Cyprian? Should they put State House on lockdown?
Well, that's the right thing to be. That's what should be done as we speak right now. But again, you know, a lot of things will stop. Definitely a lot of things will stop, because we expect a lot of things are being run from the very house we are talking about. So it's a 50-50 thing. As in, we are done with the laughing, because a lot of guys, when the news came out, most people are like, yes, finally. Hey,
really?
But again, come to think of it, it will be very sad if we experience maybe what Burundi is experiencing right now, that God forbid something happens to the head of state, and then now you have to start new things afresh. It's not something funny, by the way. So we just have to pray for our leadership, because from them, that's where we get the right direction on even how to, fight this pandemic.
You know, when you speak like that, Cyprian, in such a somber mood, you make me remember the movie Designated Survivor. Maybe we should we should have someone who is completely isolated, just in case our leadership turns COVID-19 positive. But Emmanuel, this is a lesson on working from home. Well, State House is the president's home. He has been working from home. But to underline, work from home with no guests. Because apparently people who came into State House during this pandemic period are the people who brought coronavirus into the highest office in this land.
You know, Tracy, have you said working from home? The state quarantine simply tells us that the people from State House, everyone from State House, was treating the COVID-19 normally. And Cargo has told us, if you treat it normally, it will treat you abnormally. Now you have more than 10 cases in State House, something no one would expect. Actually, the president was working from home. But then again, he allowed in the visitors. So whom do you blame? Do you blame the president or do you blame in the visitors? Because right now, it's a digital, we are in digital space whereby you can do anything from where you are as long as you have internet.
And I'm really curious, Emmanuel, every other meeting that our president has had to attend, even the most recent, the UNSC meeting, it was done via our digital platforms. Why do we need to have live broadcasts for, for other state functions in the country? Some people might argue, though, that state quarantine is good for the low-end workers in State House. Cyprian, maybe being stuck at State House, it's the scenario where you're told, heri ulie kwenye Range Rover kuliko
ucheke kwenye boda boda. You know, and I think with these happenings, I think we keep proving the wahengas wrong. For example, the methali ya mgeni njoo mwenyeji apone, pia mwenyeji amegonjeka baada.
Kumbe unajua Kiswahili.
Yes, Swahili teacher must be very proud.
Kiswahili. I know. Yeah, so but anyway, you know, with you know, with and of course with what is happening with the State House and its machinery and everything, you know, as a country, with the way it runs, I'm meant to understand that they have to stamp authority, right? So that is why some things have to be done. You can't just do every other thing with the digital platforms. That is why they had to do it. But again, come to think of it, I've been keen on our leaders, starting with Atuoli, and many others, like there was a report some time back, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, we had the director of public health, I don't know, went to Nyeri to represent the CS for health, and there were a lot of people in that burial who attended the burial ceremony. And you know, you look at how leaders are behaving versus what they are telling us, they are not taking, they are not preaching, they are not taking what they are preaching.
And this is the sad thing, Cyprian. Even as we see our leaders moving around as much as they would love to, the other day we saw Uhuru, our president, flouting curfew. Does this mean that these rules that they are setting only apply to people who are on the lower end, the lower scale of life? Emmanuel, if our leaders do not practice these rules that are set and do not contract COVID, then for the rest of us, why are we breaking them and contracting COVID?
All animals are equal, but others are more equal than others. That's where our leaders and the laws come in. Because these rules are meant for us who are not leaders, but the leaders have different rules. We've seen most of them crisscrossing the country. There's no social distancing. We saw the president at night inspecting Kenyatta Avenue. Then again, back to the State House, you find there are so many people who are gathering there. They are doing, let's say, they are doing national duties, whatever they've been assigned to do with the president, forgetting the rules are there. So actually, right, if COVID is in State House, and we know that most companies have been closed because we've had a single case of COVID positive in that particular company, so all the workers have been forced to quarantine. Now I think it's high time the State House should be put under isolation.
Why are you dreaming, Emmanuel?
The president should not move
You're
around.
awake and you're dreaming.
He should work from home until 14 days are over. Then he can continue doing other activities.
It is
Yeah.
good to dream.
Because
and,
it's
you know,
not-
every dream is valid.
Every dream is valid because it's not, if the president has COVID, there's no guarantee, there's no proven, it's not proven that he cannot, what do you say? Hawezi kuambukiza. It's the same person from like I or you. So I think he should go underground for 14 days, just like Kilifi governor did, Kingi did after his deputy tested positive. So the people at the State House have tested positive. President should do the same.
Well-
and let's try to follow the rules. Let's follow the rules that they are setting us. They should be good examples to us.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
On the
dreaming is for
contrary.
free. Yes, Cyprian.
On the contrary, I don't know if he was keen on what he was saying because where does the president live? State House. That's his home.
Yes.
That's where he should be working from.
Yes.
So with whatever has happened with the confirmed cases and everything, even the staff for State House, they have their quarters in State House, So when we are telling the president to work from home
So should this,
because we have cases, that is where. Talk
You
of
know-
an isolated place. The
Cyprian.
State House is already an isolated place because you can never access State House rahisi hivyo. And the last person who tried it is a JKUAT student na alipigwa risasi ya mahali siwezi taja na akawahi kuona.
the guy with the knife, Cyprian.
Well-
So should the president be taken to KMTC or remain at State House?
Maybe at Mbagathi, Emmanuel. I think this is something that
Najua-
is going to look very good on paper,
But
but
he'll
you cannot really
escape. He'll
practice.
escape at night with the Pro Box. He can escape at night.
Well, now, guys, winning is usually good news. Now, when Kenya won the United Nations Security Council seat in a runoff vote with Djibouti, social media was alive with mixed reactions from Kenyans. Now, many questioned the ability of the country to represent Africa. Well, we have our own security challenges glaring in our faces every day. Now, curiously, Tanzania, our supposed arch nemesis, voted for us. This is indeed a bittersweet relationship. But before we even get there, Djibouti decided to run against Kenya. We are runners, Emmanuel.
Yes.
And they decided to run against us. What did they expect?
Even before I go to Djibouti, you just mentioned Tanzania somewhere. But I think I'll come back to him later. So Djibouti, I think, I wish it will be Ethiopia. Ethiopia are the guys who give us a run of our own money when it comes to running, and we run everything. Kama sahi unaona Magoha is running away from the pregnancies.
Pregnancies.
Then so if you look at the numbers, people say numbers never lie. If you look at the numbers after the second round, you'll find that Djibouti was not even close to getting silver, leave alone gold, not even bronze. It got wood. So don't compete with Kenyans.
Well, Cyprian, I am curious. Have
Kenya
you
is
seen,
the
have
only
you seen
country-
these numbers?
Kenya is the only country who produced the first U.S. President. Yeah.
Well-
so don't run against us.
Okay.
You'll crash.
All right.
Yeah.
Cyprian, your thoughts on this one?
Yes.
Did you even expect Djibouti to run, knowing that Kenya had the backing of the African Union?
Hello?
I don't think Cyprian can hear me, Emmanuel.
He's around.
Oh, he's around.
No,
Okay.
I heard you. I heard you.
all
yes.
right.
He just,
All right. So my question is, did you expect a country as small as Djibouti to run against Kenya? I mean, are we even...
That was expected. I can call it sibling rivalry. Like kuna wale stubborn hard-headed siblings wale wanaambiwa na mzazi wacha huyu afanye form 4 hii mwaka yes you are bright wewe tutakupea hiyo mwaka ingine and they don't want anaambiwa haya basi wacha nikulipe registration ya KCSE then ile mtihani ikikuja anajionea results anashangaa ilikuwa lazima. I think that's the same case scenario tulikuwa nayo na Djibouti. Hawasikii, they were being told guys tulieni poa kwanza and they didn't want, but again competition is something that is healthy, but I don't know how they'll because they are neighbors. Given that we Somali comes between us, but as a country we are still neighbors. We're in the East African region as a bloc. We are still brothers. I don't know how we'll be relating kuanzia saa hii. I think, and we know our president with the "we shall revisit" statements. I think they are in for it.
All right, I feel like there might not be any significant hit coming from the president. But when you mentioned Somalia voted for Djibouti. Emmanuel, they are literally biasing the hand that feeds them.
It's a surprise because actually Somalia should be the first country to vote for Kenya and even campaign for Kenya. You see, Kenya is like a mother to Somali. It feeds Somali, it gives them, it has given their people who are in camps, so many of them from Somali, they are in camps.
The refugees, yeah?
The refugees. We have, they even come for medication here in Kenya. Even the COVID, they've been coming here in Kenya. Even their president was living in Kenya, fearing the peace in Somalia before he became the president. Even their prime minister, Khaire. You see, our forces are there. They are protecting them, making sure that they have peaceful nights. But these guys, they decide, okay, Asante Apunda ni mateke, Djibouti are our friends. You know, I'm not surprised because it's the same Somalia that woke up one day and decided, okay, this particular island in the Indian Ocean is ours. It doesn't belong to Kenya because it was alleged to have oil. So these guys keep on fighting us. I don't know why, but we are friendly to them. So anyway, tenda mema nenda zako, someone else will reward you, just like...
You know, and we've been richly rewarded. Who thought that after the harsh sentiments expressed by John Pombe Magufuli, that Tanzania would actually vote for Kenya on this one? Cyprian, did you see it coming?
Well, as for Tanzania, it was a kind of a shock, but for Somalia, I saw it coming because in the recent past, we've had strained relations. I mean, from our president sending the CS for Foreign Affairs time and again to go there, try talk. I think a few weeks ago, we had our cargo plane that was brought down. It was shot down. They suspect by the militia. There's been a lot of, circus back and forth in regards with our relations with Somalia. But so that was expected. But as for Tanzania, I think they came in handy as brothers. It just shows that whatever happens, ni ile tu kawaida. As neighbors lazima mzozane, but when it comes to umaiona bwana na bibi wanagombana, ukienda kuingilia hiyo vita unafukuzwa mbio sana.
Unafukuzwa ama unachapwa.
Actually, Vic, last week
unafukuzwa ama unachapwa.
Not even kuchapwa.
Exactly.
You remember the guy who was killed kwa kujaribu kuseparate the nini down there. So let me talk about Tanzania. It was a shock, but again, it's not a shock because the president of Tanzania has 3 names: John Pombe Magufuli.
You're right.
The time, if he was thinking like Magufuli, a padlock, he could have locked down Tanzania, but he didn't. Then, the time he was thinking like Pombe, he was accusing Kenyans, telling Kenyans, BCD, telling them all that stuff. Then right now, he's thinking like John. John. Now John...
A gentleman.
Yeah, John, gentleman, decided to back us.
All right.
Despite of everything that is done, Choma vifaranga zetu and all that stuff, closing the Tanzania border.
Okay.
So I can say Tanzania are good people.
All right.
They are good friends. It shows you something. Yes, we are together. We need to go there.
And even if we ever disagree, it's not personal.
It's not personal.
And on that break, on that point, Emmanuel, I want us to take a short break. When we come back, people are actually minting billions off social media as we enjoy ourselves on the platforms. Do not go away. In other news, we'll be right back.
Kwa ajili ya
Thank you so much for staying with TV47. My name is Tracy Mokami, and this is In Other News. Just to sample some of your feedback, Francis Cheriotti, you're watching us from Baringo. Thank you so much for keeping us company. Moses Okoth from Kisumu, thank you so much as well. Rudas, you say you're watching us live from Jordan. This is a very big matter. Children must go back to school. Well, I think after COVID-19, yeah, because ultimately it's more important for the child to be alive.
My question is,
yeah?
which children? The ones that are going to be born with these children or the original children? The children mothers.
Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. Abdul Kaingu, you say Ukondani from Mariakani, Asante Sana. Francis Mugo, you say the only thing which shall save Kenyans is to believe that Corona is real. Some Kenyans still have doubts about its existence. Live and clear from Oman Muscat. Thank you so much for keeping us company. Cyprian, do you feel like coronavirus is not real?
Oh, well, it's real. That's what I want to assure every person watching this program right now. It's real, and there's something being peddled around, like, do you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody? Trust me, with the numbers that we are getting, with what's happening in the US right now, I think it's among the leading countries in terms of the upsurge in infections and deaths and everything. I think we need just to be better safe than sorry, guys. I think that's what we need to. Yeah.
I actually agree with you, Cyprian. Now, as a Nairobi city resident, I am utterly confused by a high court ruling that has declared the deed of transfer of functions of Nairobi County to the government as irregular. Now, in a ruling by Justice Helen Wasilwa, the deal that was signed at State House was not approved by the county assembly, thus unlawful. Emmanuel, who do we belong to? Whose children are we? Do we belong to the national government? Do we belong to the county government? What is going on?
I think, first of all, I saw Sonko signing those documents, just like he's doing on the screen right now. Then after some time, I think he was signing under pressure of sanitization. And then after the sanitizer dried up, Sonko went back to court. Someone rushed to court to say this is unlawful.
And the person who actually did this, Emmanuel, is Okia Omtata. One day this guy, Kenyans, if there's anything that we should actually contribute money to and thank him and just ensure he's very well taken care of. That man is Okia Omtata.
Okia Omtata has been the people's AG for long. Even you've seen people have been trying to raise money for him to prosecute cases, to go for the cases in the courts. But Nairobi is one of the confused city because so who leads Nairobi? Is it the governor or is it the national government, Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the administrator, the military guy, or who is it?
Yeah.
So it's I think it's us the Nairobians who made the mistake. We could have avoided. The first time we tried to avoid the same mistake, though the person we put there was also another mistake. So it's a county of mistakes. It's a county of mistakes.
Cyprian, do you echo Inonda's sentiment? How do you feel? Who do we belong to? Do we belong to the national government? Who do we belong to?
Sisi tuko tu kama, I think if you have ever been to town, there are these kids wanaitwa Uncle Saidia. So trust me, all of us right now ni watoto wa Uncle Saidia.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we belong. That's where we belong right now.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what I can say because I mean, we made a mistake as voters. We made a mistake. Typical of Kenyans, that's what we always do. But just like what the Senate is doing right now, it's punishing the Kirinyaga people. Mutu mulimuchagua, You can't impeach her. Tunamrudisha kwenu back. Yeah, so that's what's happening.
And Cyprian Anko is really, Anko has ideas, Anna, because even as you were speaking, your screen just flipped over.
But at this
Emmanuel,
at this
why is
point,
Sonko anyway, Emmanuel? Before you get to at this point, yeah? Why is Sonko anyway? Have you seen him?
the last time I learned about where he was staying, he was in Machakos, hiding from the cartels who were surveying on him with a drone in his offices. So he decided to go to Machakos into hiding and work from there. And so far, I haven't heard from him for long. But then again, this case of Nairobi, Tracy, it begs the question, is it really the Nairobi versus the government, or is it the government versus the judiciary? Because it's from the courts where I've heard the Maraga trying to tell the president, this is not good, you need to do this, lecturing the president over the same. Then the CJ, not the CJ, the Attorney General came out in the support of president. And you see, when someone tells you there will be consequences, or we'll have to revisit, there will be so many revisiting. So I think the Nairobi case, you see the first case, Sonko agreed and signed it. Then what is in his mind, sound mind, he was not mad, or neither was he compelled. It was on a daylight.
You know, in Nondai, I actually saw the court ruling, and the biggest problem they say was that this deal or deed was not supported by members of the county assembly. And it really begs the question how we Kenyans have put too much trust and faith on our leaders if our governor can just sign off our county to the National Assembly. Cyprian, do you feel like this is a deal for the people?
No, it's not. I never trust politicians because whenever they are arguing, whenever they are fighting, whenever they are asking us to fight, thinking it's our right we are fighting for, it's always a deal that they are striking. So I can never trust politicians. When you see them fighting, when you see there is a bone of contention, jua tu kuna deal mahali everybody is fighting for. That's what I have come to learn.
I actually agree with you, and all day today the internet has been awash with claims of the formation of Jubilee Asili, a breakaway faction from Jubilee Halisi. And now Senator Murkomen a few hours ago has come out on Twitter to say that these claims are false. Some say the supposed party is more popular than KANU, which has existed for more than a few decades. Emmanuel, well, did we see this coming or not?
Personally, I didn't see it coming, but when it came, it didn't come as a surprise, because this is a party. You see, first of all, it's called Jubilee Asili, right? So I think the original Jubilee was silly, then it gave birth to Jubilee Asili. First of all, it was silly, and then Jubilee Asili came in. So what Murkomen is doing, before that name came out, you see, it's called testing waters. They're just trying to test waters, then see how Tuju will react. You understand?
All right.
Then,
maybe, I don't know. I really
I'm
hope
telling you. Now
okay.
I'm telling you. You say don't know, let me tell you now.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just tell you these things, but you call me prophet of whatever.
You know, prophet of doom, you
So,
know.
what they are doing...
And Emmanuel, before we really even go further deeper into this, Tanga allied politicians are slowly becoming known for just that. Kutanga. Now, renowned scribe turned politician Muhammad Ali collected signatures to impeach Transport CS Macharia, and in a shocking and rather bold move, Ndindi Nyoro, Rigathi Gachagua came out guns blazing to actually defend him from Muhammad Ali, and begs the question, on which side are these people really? One day they are in talks with Baba, the next day they are still showing support for Deputy President. Our political temperatures, Cyprian, what do you think is happening in the DP's camp?
I think it's separating wheat from the chaff, and I think that's what now everybody is doing. Everybody wants to see who is loyal to who. So with what's happening, especially with the turn of tongue and events and everything from Honorable Muhammad Ali, I think it just shows who our politicians really are. That's what they normally do, and they promise us a lot of things when campaigning. The next day you can't even access them. The moment anapewa ile form na returning officer, you can never access them. Hautamuona, hautafanya anything. So it was expected. What Ali alifanyiwa kitu yeye ufanya. I think that's what I can say, because we have a lot of people at the same time who are complaining. They expected him to be, to be a firebrand. Being the young politician that he is, we expected a lot from him. But just like
I actually saw
Babu
Cyprian in Nanda. I actually saw some a politician, Ndindi Nyoro, come out to say that some of these people didn't even know what they were signing. A lot of them have now retracted their signatures. They were saying, walikuwa wanasign loan.
When he said that, the other MPs came out saying was it this Homa Bay women rep? She said that Mohammed Ali is an extortionist. Then didn't you say they were signing something? So maybe if it's a loan, or let's say something of that sort, then we can say that they thought, was it a loan or a rent? Were they being rented again? Because you see, Macharia, Rigathi Gachagua, and Ndindi Nyoro, they happen to come from the same region. And most of them are, Gachagua and Nyoro have been on the other side, that is against the government, the government against the government. But when Macharia has been named, they came out guns blazing. So that was a surprise to me.
Well, and what was more shocking is Wetangula, even after getting back his party, is still a troubled man. Today in Bungoma, he was tear gassed in his home county. Some say it's because he has refused to sanitize himself. Yeah? You know where HQ sanitization is. Cyprian,
Yes.
Wetangula, problems left, right, and center. Did we expect that he will be tear gassed in his home county?
By the way, right now, the way he's struggling to remain relevant, I can't, siwezi kuwa shocked if he's the one who tear-gassed himself. Politicians, you can never trust them, by the way. But you never trust a politician. Anaweza jitiagas alie, ndio muongele. Just like we are doing right now, for him to remain relevant. So, that's what I can say about Wetangula.
The Wetangula issue,
Tracy. Anafanya nini Bungoma na corona tutaki iende Bungoma? What is he doing there?
He has been moving around.
Let me tell you,
shocking.
let me tell you, Cyprian, Wetangula, being, Bungoma is his home county, and I think he can go there if he has the letter of the curfew and the lockdown. You see, in Kajiado, we had so many MPs down there. They went for a meeting. No one tear-gassed them. But Wetangula is just on the road, trying to say hi to his people, not even mingling with them. Is in his car is being tear-gassed. Then I wonder which side of the law that you are using. Just the other day, a few minutes ago, asking about the people observing the rules. So Wetangula being tear-gassed is not a good thing. He was not holding a rally, and then again we've had so many things happening in his party. So we can say those things are being linked to the tear gas. You can say someone is fighting him directly and indirectly.
Well,
so I hope
if someone
he's a good man. I hope he wakes up again. Yeah, he'll come back stronger.
Yeah, imagine in the interest of time, TikTok is in plans to collaborate with hundreds of experts and institutions to ensure that we have educational content on TikTok. Cyprian, as an avid social media user, do you see yourself ever going to learn on TikTok?
Hey, nijipate. Nijipate.
What?
Mimi, nijipate. Because, I think first off, my toxic masculinity wouldn't allow me. Ntashukisha gangster points going to TikTok to learn.
All right.
I'd rather stick to Google. But it's a good thing. It just shows how, we are an evolving world. New things are coming up. So let's wait and see if it will be effective. And, Africa is the dumping site. We are the test lab and everything. This is where if it works in Africa, it works everywhere. Let's wait and see.
You see, the first time I heard of TikTok, Tracy, I thought it's a song. Then all along, I've never understood what TikTok is. But I heard this.
Really, you guys do not use you guys do not use TikTok.
No, I don't use it.
Really?
We just see of TikTok.
We fear being celebrated on Women's Day.
So if you decide to put education on TikTok, education content on TikTok, then it will lose its meaning. Because most people who flooded there because of the content, the original content they created for. But if you start putting
I feel like maybe TikTok is just trying Emmanuel to ensure that it is a platform that is taken seriously. Still on the same note where social media apps are trying to invent and reinvent themselves, in Brazil, Facebook, the company that now owns WhatsApp, has introduced sending of money via WhatsApp. Cyprian, finally, this might be the end of blue ticks. If someone blue ticks you, you just send them money via WhatsApp.
Well, I really don't know how this is going to work, but it already sounds interesting just by the thought of it. So, but ishe tu mambo ya blue tick tumeteseka sana, boy child. But again, just like we were worried about the loan apps, zilikuwa mingi, we had over 50 loan apps. Hii ingine inaweza kuwa, it could be a debt trap again. So I think I'm crying to the boy child. Be cautious. Be woke. Be woke. Yes.
It seems Cyprian has been a victim of the loans app. You see, he knows over 50 of them. So
I can assure you though, if this lands in Kenya, if Facebook actually rolls out sending of money via WhatsApp, it might actually be the end of blue
What's
tick.
if you delete for everyone?
All right. Yeah. You send the money.
You can send the message. If you are blue ticked, you send money. Akisha Soma delete for everyone.
Well, I don't know. We will see how it works once it's launched. And guys, that's all the time that we had for In Other News. Thank you so much for keeping us company. My name is Tracy Mukami. See you next Friday right here on TV47. Enjoy your weekend.
Ukiona, sema. Ukisikia, sema. Ukishuku, sema. Ripoti tatizo lolote la usalama kupitia SMS 988. Namba yako haita